Hi, welcome everyone. So in this video, we're going to be going through a walkthrough of the service design process itself. We have covered this previously, but this is just an additional video where hopefully seeing some of the steps that you need to take should help you with your own activities. In particular, the seminar exercise that we're going to be working on this week. So we're going to look at all three elements of service design, from concept, package, and process. But in this video, we're focusing particularly on the concept and the package. And then in the next video, there will be a walkthrough of the process design, which is usually the most technical or trickiest part, even though it is still relatively straightforward. So if we start with just a refresh on those three major elements of design. So we have the concept itself, which we're going to be discussing in a second. But just to reiterate, the concept doesn't actually refer to a description of the product or service. It doesn't refer to any of the features or specifications, or doesn't relate to any of the internal resources. It simply explains what the value of the service or product is to the end user, the consumer, or the customer. So it's very much focused on why someone would use this service or this product. The package then builds on the concept by identifying what components or elements are required, as well as resources are required to actually enable or realize that value to the end consumer or the end user. And then the process is the activities that will actually execute the service or deliver the product itself. So if we keep our focus on the concept itself for now, we have discussed the concept in the past, but again, a quick refresh on where we can generate our concepts from. And there are generally three specific types of areas we can generate concepts from. So one would be from customers, either through formal feedback, focus groups, questionnaires, and so on, or through an informal process of day-to-day conversation, interaction with operational level staff. We can also generate concepts from looking at our external competitor activity. So what are other competitors and other organizations in the same space offering to their users, and is this something which can be replicated or used for your own organization? As well as our internal environment as well, so ideas from staff or ideas from R&D or formal parts of the organization tasked with generating concepts and so on. Once you have your concept, however, we need to express it in a way that makes it useful for the rest of the design process. So there's two major questions that I want to focus in on here. If you're able to answer these two questions confidently and with a degree of precision, you have a well-formed concept which you can then iterate upon, get feedback on, and ultimately seek to move on to the next stage. So first major question, which isn't necessarily always applicable, but in the vast majority of cases is identifying what problem do we actually want to solve for the user. And let's stick with that terminology. All of these words fit: user, customer, consumer, depending on the different context that you'll be designing service processes in. But we want to stick it within a university context. So the example that we're going to be running with would be a laptop service from the university, where students can temporarily borrow laptops to do work on. So we have a problem here, and the problem would be that students need laptops to actually do their university work, to research, to read, and to write their assessments on. And as an additional point or an extension of that problem, Laptops are often needed at short notice, so presumption is that students have their own machine, their personal machine to work on, but these can develop issues, and we have the need for a portable replacement, sometimes with extremely short notice. So this is the problem that the user would encounter, that our service would solve for them or address for them. Most products and services will have some sort of problem at their heart. That problem may be fairly obvious in the case of a service which seeks to lend out laptops to students who need those laptops to do their work. But as well as this, we almost anything you can think of will have some sort of problem at its heart. So even if you take the iPad, so the technology wasn't really revolutionary. They've always, a long time before the iPad, there were other tablet and touchscreen portable devices, but the iPad did break open a brand new market segment. So there was no precursor. So people weren't walking around desperately needing a tablet style device, but there was lacking an option on the marketplace. This wasn't the case. So you might say there was no real problem being solved because there was no one crying out for a tablet style device. However, there is still a clear problem that was identified at the concept stage. The tablet wasn't the iPad now. The specific device was intended to be primarily a browsing and content consumption device. So things have changed now. There's been additional devices such as the iPad Pro, which is designed to actually be a device for content creation, to actually do work on, send emails and to generate new content. But the original iPad was clearly aimed at content consumption. So the problem here was the user wanting to enjoy content, so movies and so on, TV shows, and browse the internet casually, away from their main machine. So a PC or a laptop generally requires a particular setting. You have to be sat in a particular way to use it for long periods of time, and especially with a PC, you're unable to be portable. You're not unable to be mobile when you're using a PC. So the iPad was solving the issue of wanting to be portable or mobile to enjoy content when you're away from your laptop or your desktop machine, but wanting a screen or an experience that was better than consuming content on your phone. So we still have a clear problem that we've identified with the iPad, that the iPad would then solve with its various attributes. And here, needing a laptop at short notice is a fairly clear problem. The second question, which is equally important to nail down your concept, is the actual benefit the user will get from our product or service. So that's the problem we've identified. Well, how would our service really solve that problem? What is the benefit the user would get if they were to use our service? So here, the first one seems relatively simple, the use of a laptop to enable university work. But as well as this, because remember we're designing a particular service, the ability to just walk in and get a laptop at short notice. So not needing to necessarily book online, for example, which would be problematic if you're there to book a laptop because your laptop's broken. Being told to go and go through a convoluted online process isn't necessarily a good solution to needing to get a device to get you online in the first place, as well as the ability to reserve a laptop if none are immediately available. So we have clear benefits from the service. Again, the important thing from the perspective of the user. What we don't want to do at this stage is start giving technical specifications or start getting into the details of the package. This is all still very much user focused. So we have our concept, which is useful to us. So now the next stage would be identifying the package that we would need in order to realize that concept itself. So questions, again, if you're able to answer these questions, you're able to identify the relevant information. So what is exactly needed in terms of components? Well, we can break this down into a number of different components. So we need a sufficient number of laptops. So if we were doing this for a particular university, you look at the student body, the amount of students who live locally or in student accommodation, so therefore are likely to be revolving around the campus with regard to their work rather than commuting from other towns, and you'd have a particular number, as well as the required specifications to actually do the work needed. As well as this, so that's the involved product or the related product we need, those particular number of laptops with those particular specifications. We also want a staffed area that has sufficient storage to contain all the laptops. We want staff to actually interact and deliver the service. We need a system that's able to keep track of the laptops, as well as the ability to make reservations for particular laptops for particular students. And because this is an ongoing operation, we also want to have a connection with IT support for ongoing repairs.